Major news organizations turning on none other than Kamala Harris. Oh my gosh. Can you believe what we're seeing? I never thought I'd see the day. But, maybe underneath it all, they don't actually want to see the country completely, totally, utterly compromised. Well, that is most of them except for CNN. We're going to get into all of this, ladies and gentlemen, because this is pretty much a significant and serious shift. And I don't think anybody's really covering this. It's nuanced, but it's important. We're seeing this from the New York Times. We're seeing this from CNBC, which is the business cable network that covers markets and the economy over there on NBC. So by and large, while the CNNs of the world that are just chomping on the bit, so excited because they're going to get themselves a little interview with none other than Kamala and Tim Walz. Apparently she can't do it on her own. Other organizations are calling out the BS. We're going to talk all about it. Meanwhile, Jesse Waters over at Fox, he's in trouble again. My goodness, this poor guy. You won't believe what the PC police are saying this time. And they may get him. I mean, they are calling for the poor guy to be fired. Plus, we're going to talk about whether or not, I don't know what you think. Is the MAGA crowd getting to Meta CEO Mike Zuckerberg actually come join the party? We're going to talk all about it. Welcome to the program. I am Trish. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure you like, do all those good things because we get some serious stuff to talk about today. Major news media companies coming out kind of against, I say kind of because you got to qualify this stuff right now, kind of against Kamala Harris. It's like they finally had a big wake-up call. Thank you, guys. I'm glad, better late than never. We've got, first of all, the New York Times suddenly running a series of pieces that are not exactly what you might call complimentary. Here's one piece. Joy is not a strategy. Oh, thank you very much. Patrick Healy, the deputy opinion editor, writing that, saying, he's looking for a little bit more out of Kamala Harris. We can't just be like, ha, 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 happy, 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 happy. Let me just smile and go by the mamala thing that Drew Barrymore likes to call me and call it a day. No, people actually need to know how you're going to fix some of these problems. Well, the problem being that she can't fix them. They are of her own doing. So when Politico gets mad and says, oh, it's so unfair how they're tethering her to Joe Biden, it's like, guys, it was the Biden-Harris administration. Thank you very much. Anyway, this is one. Joy is not a strategy. And let me go inside this article because he writes quite well. Harris gave us a good speech Thursday. Her love for America was overflowing. I didn't think it was that great a speech, but, that's neither here nor there. A child of immigrants' love, as a Democrat strategist, Howard Wolfson put it to me. Republicans like to tag Democrats as down on America and its history, but it was interesting that when Harris radiated pride, it was not pride as a black woman or pride as a glass ceiling breaker. It was pride as an American. You see, she had to do that. She absolutely had to do that. She was open. She was relatable. Blah, blah, blah. Repeatedly put voters first. Meanwhile, Trump apparently does the opposite because, he cares most about God, allegedly. But he writes, this is a winnable race for Harris, but she hasn't won yet. Far from it. She has been tested, really tested since Biden stepped aside. Ultimately, he writes, she needs more voters in the swing states to trust her on, what do you think? The economy. He writes, to handle the economy better than her opponent. Barack Obama earned that trust through nearly 2 hard years of campaigning. He didn't coast on hope and change. Harris can't coast on joy. If she shows she can stand up under pressure, she can beat Trump and consign him for eternity to just playing God on Fox News. Oh, wow. Okay, so, you got to take the good with the bad here. But if you read between the lines, what he's saying is this woman, there's no there. Like, she has no campaign. She just suddenly emerged, a product of Hollywood. George Clooney anointed her, along with David Axelrod, David Plouffe. Those are the Obama guys, and Barack Obama himself. They picked her out of thin air and said, we're going to make this work. We're going to do a big old giant psych op on the American people, and they're going to get all excited about this woman because we said she is the future. Oh, meanwhile, the New York Times, again, just remember who's writing this stuff. It is the New York Times. They published another piece, this one less than 24 hours ago, by Rich Lowry over at National Review. The title being, Trump Can Win on Character. Character, you see. And he goes in depth about It's not necessarily personality. It's not necessarily, is he going to win this, that, husband of the year, whatever. No, it's about that people actually think that he has the character to see things through, that he wants to see things through, that he's consistent. I mean, you compare and contrast with Kamala Harris, who's clearly not consistent, right? She flip-flops around all the time. Latest yet being the border, of course. Now she wants a border wall, despite having insisted she didn't previously. So this is an important thing to think about. Character, yes, in that sense, really does matter. People have to believe you have the character to see things through. And then Richard Lowenstein writing in, this is also great, again, today, all right, in the New York Times, that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, he takes a dig at him too, are shedding basic economic good sense, and he attacks her policy upside one and down the other, writing that this woman basically, I'm gonna help translate for you. She's kind of dumb, okay? Forget the proposal addresses a problem that no longer exists, he writes. This is the inflation stuff, because he's pointing out that food prices have since come down and that supermarkets are really getting hit on their notoriously thin margins. He said more dismaying was her seeming ignorance that price controls, almost without exception, have led to shortages, supply chain disruptions, and eventually higher prices. When Ms. Harris pledged to crack down on opportunistic offenders and restrict excessive corporate profits, she seemed unaware that exploiting opportunities for profit is exactly what enterprise intended to foster. Wow. Okay, so that's pretty tough. But you know what? Maybe they see the handwriting on the wall. Did you guys see this? We went through some of these numbers yesterday. In yesterday's Trish Regan Show, I continue to harp on them because I think this is important to notice. She got absolutely no boost from that Democrat convention. No boost whatsoever. So she's still sort of dead even. If you believe the polls with Donald Trump, I think he tends to poll worse than anyone, because everybody's afraid to say, oh yeah, I'm voting for him. So what you're seeing is perhaps the media responding in kind to that. They want to make sure that they look like they're doing their job, because when she loses, right, they don't want to be caught flat in their feet like they were with Hillary Clinton. So maybe if they needle her a little bit and they kind of push her in this direction and that, maybe she can actually perform a little bit better. They're thinking. But here's the hard, cold truth for everyone you need to know. Kamala Harris does not have a lot upstairs. Kamala Harris is a political animal. Kamala Harris is going to do whatever it takes she thinks she needs to do to get to the finish line, which means, hey, freebies for you, freebies for you, freebies for you. And, we're going to make them all, probably if you're watching this show, pay for it. This is how she rolls. Well, people are starting to notice this. Wait until you see. I can't wait to show you this clip, because CNBC just tore her apart upside one and down the other. Stunning island of Ireland. Just incredible. When I was a little kid and we'd visit here, my mom would say, if you're lucky enough, you might actually get a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, because that's where the leprechauns leave it. So we looked, we didn't find any, but I consider it probably having been good advice, because as I got older, I learned that gold is pretty valuable. It's valuable in terms of diversification. I encourage you to take a look at it. And when you do, call our friends, our wonderful sponsors over at American Hartford Gold. You can go to trishlovesgold.com, Trish Loves Gold, and wow, it's windy here. You can text 65532, my name, Trish, to 65532 for your chance to get up to $15,000 in free silver, ladies and gentlemen. Just a terrific. Again, text my name, Trish, Trish, to 65532 for your chance to get up to $15,000 in free silver. Oh my gosh, this is a new one. Wow, taking a look at what's coming in right now out of CNBC, I'm going to tell you, the media is kind of sick of this woman. They're getting kind of tired of the nonsense, the stuff that makes absolutely no sense. You've seen some smarter anchors call this stuff out over and over again to some of her economic people. But this one really got to me. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. I want to share this clip with you. This is the morning team there at CNBC. This is significant because I guarantee you, I used to work there. I know how this goes down. I guarantee you those anchors on are a little bit of thin ice, right? Because they've had a series of blowups recently with big key Democrats, and that's not really allowed, right? In the Biden administration, Biden-Harris doesn't really allow you to fire back like that. And yet, what did they do? Well, Joe Kernan went after Elizabeth Warren recently, and then he went after Jason Furman, who's like an Obama economic guy recently. And then, like that wasn't enough, they got to make it a threefer. He and Becky, who's also on the morning show, they kind of pointed out to Kamala's not very bright advisor that his plan to tax capital gains, unrealized capital gains, makes absolutely positively no sense. And just to kind of explain it in really simple terms, imagine you bought a stock. Let's use shares of NVIDIA just, for the sake of it, right? Because NVIDIA is very much in the news out with earnings today. And let's say, you bought it at a certain price, and all of a sudden it skyrockets even more than it already has. It goes way, way, way up. You're like, this is amazing. It's going to the moon. And then there's a bad earnings report and it sinks. And maybe it sinks like 200%. And you're like, wait a second. Well, no, Kamala wants you to pay the tax on the stock as it went up all that much, even though you didn't sell it. I mean, it's like unconstitutional and so blatantly wrong, and would completely massacre our economy like overnight. But that's not going to stop her from talking a good game and this idiot advisor. I'm sorry, but he clearly needs to go and take like a class in Econ 101, something. Somebody help him, please. Let's watch Becky and Joe do the job.
Unrealized gains, taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word. In the very best sense, if you are taxing unrealized gains, all you're doing is pulling forward the taxes that would be paid later when someone actually sells the stock.
I think that this reaction to unrealized gains is a little funny, given that I bet that the majority of people watching right now are already paying a tax on unrealized gains. It's called a property tax. When the value of your home goes up,
it's a use tax.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes, even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way a stock moves, the way something else moves.
That's always the go-to answer.
It's also, property tax is a use tax. You're paying for the schools, you're paying for emergency services. Those are things that make absolute sense.
And sure, and all the revenue that comes in from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan are going to go to creating what she calls more opportunity. It's to make sure that every newborn born in this country gets $6,000.
Using the services.
Well, look, you're arguing that this is some sort of foreign concept that's completely unknown in the U.S. tax code.
It's probably unconstitutional. It's probably, and it was never in anyone's intent to tax.
It's not an income tax,
and it's never going to happen. Probably. Not in, well, I'm not going to say my lifetime.
I wouldn't say that.
Not in Becky's lifetime.
Oh, my goodness. It's not constitutional. I certainly hope it doesn't happen in any of our lifetimes. I mean, it would be the end of America, basically. Nobody would invest in anything. Think about it. Why would you take that risk? Because there'd be the threat of taxes on the horizon. This woman is not smart. This woman is running for the presidency of the United States, and I think she might just be a dum-dum. You look at her economic policy, and that's what it tells us. She's a total, utter dum-dum. Okay, I'm probably going to get in trouble with some social media company for saying that, but I'm sorry, what else do you want me to call it? I mean, let me be nice and say that this is just like Maduro. All right, that's like the nice way of putting it, I guess. This is Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela style stuff. But I'm sorry, this is not smart. This is not going to help our economy. This is not going to help America. This is not going to bring housing prices down. Here they are going on and on and on. Oh my God, housing. But I know housing prices are bad. We all know they're bad, guys. I think you kind of own that, right? I think you might just own this one.
A just released housing index reveals just how rough the market is, especially for first-time home buyers. It showed home prices for the nation's top 20 metro areas rose 5.4% from June of last year to June of this year, a record jump for that month. And renters, not just home buyers, are feeling a serious squeeze, especially in New York. Moody's found New Yorkers dedicated a whopping 58% of their income toward rent compared to 27% nationwide.
Yeah. All right. And that would be why? Oh, maybe because we get an administration that doesn't know what it's doing. Maybe actually Kamala Harris should take some responsibility for that. Instead of waving a magic wand with another Inflation Reduction Act that's not going to reduce a darn thing, saying, I want to give everybody who's a first-time homebuyer $25,000 because won't that bring prices down, you moron? I'm sorry. You know what? Let me get in trouble for calling her stupid. The woman is stupid. Stupid. And it's frankly kind of disgusting to see. I'm glad that Becky and Joe called that advisor out. I'm glad that the New York Times is saying, okay, we need a little bit more than joy to back us up here, because these policies will not work for this country. And people need to care about this. You need to be passionate about this, because this is frankly, dangerous, dangerous stuff. Hey, they're telling you that Project 25 is dangerous, right? Project 2025, which is something that the Heritage Foundation has spent a lot of time and effort on trying to craft the policies that would help put us in a better position one day. They're trying to say that this stuff is dangerous. Let me tell you guys, you got the danger side of the equation, because we're all going to have nothing if we do what Kamala Harris wants. Anyway, go check out Project 2025, the truth about it. They think it's some big darn secret. No, it's right there out in the open for you to see. 25truth.com. Go check it out today. Learn about the policies that are actually going to put us in a better position as a nation. Learn about how we need more and more and more American energy. Give me green, give me fossil fuels, give it all to me, right? Because I want that energy from a national security standpoint. Give me better education and more choice for education for our kids. These are the kinds of things that are going to promote us as a nation, bring us forward, get the deep dark state out of my business. Thank you very much. I think even Meta's CEO is starting to come to that realization. That story coming up. But here's the reality. Policy matters. It matters so much. Look, our economy is a big deal. I want to get to that because we got to talk about what's happening in NVIDIA coming out with earnings today. I want to just tell you, if you are interested in investing, excellent news. Good for you. If you're not interested, you're going to have to join me for one of my lectures, and I'm going to tell you exactly why you need to be, because this is really kind of the only way I feel that, especially if you're earning a very static wage, you can really get ahead in time, right? You want to be in that capital labor equation. You want to be part of the capital. So you want to be investing money, because like it or not, no matter what Kamala does, the Federal Reserve is there, and they are helping the same darn people out over and over and over and over again, the investing class in America. So become part of it. Let me help you become part of it. Go over to 76 Research today, 76research.com. This is my financial company, a research company that I own. We don't do any of the investing for you. That's all on you. But we guide you. We tell you. We have 3 model portfolios. We have American Resilience, Inflation Protection, and we have the Basic Income Builder. And these are the portfolios with 10 to 15 stocks in each one of them that help put you on the path to really having that kind of security and, frankly, that freedom that is so important as an American today. You can get the 76 report, which is our very frequent publication we put out with occasional stock picks and likes from our model portfolios in there. You can get it for $1 today. Just use code word dollar when you go to 76research.com. I'm telling you guys, these people really make me mad. Okay, they really make me mad, because when you start talking about ridiculous stuff, and it is ridiculous that Kamala Harris wants to do, it just gets my Irish up. I'm sorry. They make me mad, but apparently Jesse Waters makes them mad. Jesse Waters in the hot seat again. They're like looking to fire him again over at Fox, because he dared to say something that their brains took the wrong way. Now, I didn't take it this way until there was a big giant pause on set and everybody started laughing and, their heads went. They went there. I didn't go there at first. And you know what? If you listen to Jesse, he didn't intend for it to be quite like that. So why are their heads down there in the gutter? Anyway, it's gotten to be such a big deal. This particular comment I'm going to play for you in a second, that you've got Dougie Boy, that's the vice president's hubby, Dougie Boy's ex-wife, coming to Kamala's defense, and a whole bunch of other people demanding that Jesse Waters on Twitter, they're saying, be fired for this comment. Again, I didn't quite go there. I get that some people, they have their minds in another place, and the Democrats are automatically, he's just a sexist jerk and he needs to go. Listen to this. Tell me what you think.
It's also been 3 years since Kamala boasted about being the, quote, last person in the room when Joe Biden decided to go ahead with the Afghanistan withdrawal. Jesse, people consider you to be the last person in the room because that's because everybody keeps trying to ditch you.
Yeah, they just left. Right. But you understand the reference, Greg.
Yes.
Is that she was somehow involved in the decision, and it was her wise guidance that he was relying upon. Listen, she was the last in the room in Afghanistan. She was the border czar, and she was the deciding vote on trillions of inflationary spending. On those three most popular Joe Biden items, she's basically like a conjoined twin. You cannot separate the two. And let's talk about foreign policy. What is her foreign policy? And this is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now...
Jesse, Jesse, I don't like that.
Figuratively, again.
Take it back.
Have their way with her. Control her. Not in a sexual way.
Okay. They want him fired over that one? Are you kidding me? So Dougie, Vice President's husband, is having his ex come to Kamala's defense. This is unbelievable. So, like, I guess it's inappropriate maybe for him to come to the defense of Kamala. She can't say anything, so you got to pull the circuit. So they plucked the ex-wife out of nowhere. The ex-wife who got left by Doug, winning guy that he is, for the nanny. I mean, she really knows how to pick him. This guy and Willie Brown. Anyway, she writes on Twitter, there are many things to worry about, but Kamala being manhandled in the Situation Room is not one of them. This is this woman, Kirsten Emhoff. In her post on X, she's been a fierce defender. It's like a family business, for goodness sakes, of the vice president, who has been married to her ex-husband since 2014 after his marriage ended with this woman because he cheated on her with the nanny back in 2009. Like I said, I mean, from Willie Brown to the guy who cheats with the nanny, she really knows how to pick the winners. Makes me wonder kind of a little bit about who she's going to pick for her staff. She doesn't have the smartest people. Obviously, you saw the guy just now on getting beaten up there by Becky and Joey. And, you know, I mean, this is concerning. I mean, it's the policy alone is just enough to make me really, really sick to my stomach. But you know what? I'll tell you, it's probably good for things like gold prices, right? I mean, it's probably very, very good for gold prices because the reality is if you got a really lousy, messed up leader running things, well, gold's going to... So this is one way to hedge it. Hey, you know, we look at the positive side here on the Trish Regan Show. I do believe in a diversified portfolio. You know that. It's very, very much something that is sort of the foundation of where I start. And part of a good diversification strategy includes investing in gold. And so it's one of the reasons I personally invest in gold. It's the reason I always have really in my adult life invested in gold, and that has paid off. And whether it continues to pay off, I think you got to look at some of those fundamental things, like the fact that we've got $35 trillion in debt and still counting. You've got a woman who actually thinks she can give out $25,000. Oh my gosh, every new homeowner, and forgive all your student debt. She's talking about this ridiculous capital gains, unrealized gains tax. I mean, again, we got to keep Trish calm, cool, and collected, right? So this is partly what my gold portfolio does for me. I want you to go check these guys out, American Heart for Gold. Go to trishlovesgold.com. If you haven't done this already, text my name, Trish, T-R-I-S-H, to 65532. Text Trish to 65532 today for up to $15,000 in free silver that you would get with them by signing on. And look, silver's been on a tear too. Silver's an interesting proxy to watch in the scheme of things. But I will just say this. We've got a really messed up situation when the woman who is running at the top of the Democrat ticket is embracing such insanely socialist, communist principles as we're seeing from Kamala Harris. But back to Jesse for a second. I'm looking at your commentary and you guys are like, I don't care. You know, I'm a man. I'm saying whatever. But it is kind of, yeah, I mean, you agree with me. It's a little uncalled for. They're just trying to, you know, get rid of him any which way they can. And I think it has a little something to do perhaps with this. So, you know, they don't like Jesse because Jesse's not on their side of things and doesn't even pretend to be on their side of things. Well, it came out this week that he's been kind of on a tear about where she grew up. Like, this is a birth certificate thing. And he pulled out her birth certificate to prove effectively that she wasn't quite from Oakland. So apparently she was born in an Oakland hospital, but she didn't grow up in, let me make sure I have this right. She didn't actually grow up in Oakland. She grew up in a really kind of nice, posh academic town right nearby. It's called Berkeley. Berkeley, California. You know, UC Berkeley. I have a cousin that rowed there. UC Berkeley is the bomb for rowing and for academia. Okay, really, really good school. Very, very hard to get into. And so Kamala Harris had academic parents that lived in the Shishihu town, whatever you want to call it, of Berkeley. It's like Cambridge, right? Except it's next to Oakland. It's like if you took Cambridge, Massachusetts, and just made it a little closer to Roxbury. Anyway, she loves to talk about how she's from Oakland. She's an Oakland girl. She's an Oakland native, all this, that. And, you know, she's not. She's actually a Berkeley native. And there is a distinction, okay? I realize they're right next door to each other, and it's California, big state. But there is a distinction between it's like being from Roxbury or being from Cambridge, okay? She's from Berkeley. That's where she grew up until she was 12, by the way, because mysteriously at 12, she left the country. Montreal, I wonder if she speaks French. Way up there in Canada, McGill is a very good school. Her mother got a position there as a professor at McGill. So she was raised during her very formative, impressionable years in none other than Canada. I mean, hey, what can we have against her? It's just Canada, right? Except it's Canada. It's not America. And then she came back to go to Howard University, I guess, but she was out of the country for a long time. So when she talks about being such a product of America, I think that Jesse has a right to sort of kind of raise an eyebrow at that one. And yet, they want him gone. They want him gone because of an innocuous comment. They want him gone. Should I play it again? Let me just play a little bit of it. You know, for those of you that are just joining us, this is crazy. I'm going to fast forward.
So, Ben, 3 years since Kamala boasted about being the, quote, last person.
He was somehow involved in the decision, and it was her wise guidance that he was relying upon. Listen, she was the last in the room in Afghanistan. She was the border czar, and she was the deciding vote on trillions of inflationary spending. On those three most popular Joe Biden items, she's basically like a conjoined twin. You cannot separate the two. And let's talk about foreign policy. What is her foreign policy? And this is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse, Jesse, I don't like that.
Figuratively,
Take
again,
it back.
Have their way with her, control her, not in a sexual way.
Okay, so now they want him gone over that. But you see, the bigger story there is that he's sort of zoning in on some issues that are kind of important. Look, I know how this goes. I've been the victim of it, frankly, right? I used to work there. I said a few things that maybe some people on the left considered out of bounds. Right? Because there was a time when you couldn't even talk about COVID. You couldn't even say the word. In fact, I developed the euphemism to this day. I still say it. It's like automatic reflex. March 2020. Right? March 2020. You know what I'm talking about. That's what I learned very quickly, you know, because if you said the other thing, oh boy, somebody was going to get offended. Somebody was going to get really, really mad. That's what happened. And so Jesse's in a position where, you know, hopefully he's not going to deal with what I dealt with, but think about all the people. Think about the people that used to be at Fox that aren't there anymore. From myself to Tucker to Lou, rest in peace. I mean, a whole lot of people. Steve Hilton. I mean, just really, really talented people that are not there anymore because, you know, maybe you just pushed it a little bit too far. We were told you had full independence, you had freedom of speech, this, that, and the other. I didn't totally, because actually all my commentaries I had to run through upper management, and upper management, like the head of the whole place, would sign off on it before I could say it, so they knew it was coming, but whatever. I mean, the point is we're way happier over here, right? Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you're here. I am here live every single day. Hit the bell so you know when I'm here. It's important right now. But like I said, there was a time in this country when you couldn't even say certain things. Certain words were like no-go territory because the algorithm would pick you up. And part of it was because there was a team in the White House that wanted it that way. That's what we have since learned, since the CEO of Meta, otherwise known as Facebook, came out with his letter this week to the Honorable Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, in which He writes, guys, I mean, this is unbelievable. A lot of people think that he may be crossing over to the other side. I don't know. Like, I think he's a businessman and he must see the handwriting on the wall. I mean, these are even polls. But, you know, hopefully Mark Zuckerberg, who incidentally went to my high school. My cousin was one of those rowers, the UC Berkeley guy we were just talking about. Yeah, he was one of the rowers. He was actually in high school with him. So he did go to my high school. And I have to believe that somewhere deep down in there, there's a value that really, hopefully, cherishes our First Amendment. And hopefully this is in part what inspired him to write this. I think this is a big deal letter. A huge deal. This is the biggest story that the New York Times is not covering for some reason. Ask yourself why. Mark Zuckerberg writes to Chairman Jordan, in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't have made today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. In a separate situation, by the way, this one's not getting a lot of attention. New York Times is not bothering with this story like at all. But this in particular is not getting the time of day from most mainstream media organizations, this little second part, which says the FBI warned us about a potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and bereavement in the lead up to the 2020 election. That fall, when we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations involving then Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden's family, we sent the story to fact checkers for review and temporarily demoted it. While waiting for a reply, it has since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation. Nope. It turns out the whole thing was true. It turns out that there were just 51 ex-spooks that were a whole bunch of hacks that wanted to ensure they would get their chance at the White House. And so guess what? They are the ones that published that letter saying it was misinformation fed to you courtesy of the Russians and Rudy Giuliani. I mean, they had knocked Rudy Giuliani down so much that it might have seemed possible to some people over at Facebook. Anyway, that was a big deal. I was actually personally affected by that on my Facebook account because we had published a story about the whole Hunter Biden laptop. I mean, it was no-go territory. This is not normal. And I hope that Zuckerberg's kind of figuring that out. But you know who's not figuring it out? That would be the New York Times. I mean, this is crazy to me that the New York Times, for whatever reason, still hasn't bothered. This is a big story. This letter is like it is the biggest social media platform in the world, saying, hey, guess what? We were pressured into taking things down and shadowing certain things by none other than the Biden-Harris administration. And yet the New York Times won't cover it? They won't. In fact, I keep looking. Okay, tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Go and check it. You know, as of 2:45 p.m. on Wednesday, August 28th, I still can't find it on the New York Times. I see this story that came out today. Can tech executives be held responsible for what happens on their platform? And it's a big article on that, but it never, again, mentions this letter, which is really weird. If you're the paper of record and you're supposed to be, again, kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal that the CEO of a major tech company like this is saying this. Apparently that doesn't fit with their narrative, even though they're here and there starting to kind of maybe turn on Harris. This is apparently too much for them. Well, it's not too much for RFK Jr. It's not too much for me. It's not too much for Donald Trump. I guarantee it's not too much for you. Here's RFK talking. No time. Don't allow that. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Hit the bell. Spread the word. We're growing. and we will be a force, and we will matter, and we will not allow America to cease to be America. It is great to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining, as always. David, Lorenzo, Rocco, Carly, very good to see all of you. I saw Don here too. I take it you're no fan of the New York Times. I see it. And Ian, welcome back. Guys, we have a mission. It's an important time. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to be here tomorrow and every other day as well. Good to see you.